up, everybody? Back again, Warp Charge Gaming. I'm George. This is Brad, Zach, and Chris. And this is the Infinity crew here in the Richmond, Virginia, Midlothian, Virginia area. We home base out of Battlegrounds, the greatest game store on earth. That's where Brad and I are right now. And this is the first episode where we're going to get together and solely talk about the great game of Infinity. Infinity, the game. If you haven't heard of it, there is a lot of people that might be tuning in for the first time to this show and have become fans on Warp Charge from the other many different tabletop games that we played, but particularly Games Workshop. But Corvus Belli is the manufacturer that produces Infinity, and it's been around for a while. And I know all you guys are longtime vets in the game. I still feel new as hell, even though I think a couple years are going by. It's a game that you just takes a long time to master, kind of thing. Every army is a new adventure for sure. So I look forward to just talking about all the new stuff going on in Infinity right now. That it's just hit its new edition, similar to Games Workshop with its 9th edition 40K. We now have the 4th edition of Infinity. Is it 10 years old? Can anyone call out to the general age of the game?
I think it's 15.
15 years.
Yeah, it's like
15 to 18, somewhere
15 to 18, yeah.
Wow, that is a lot older than I expected. I mean, because there's also there's a way to kind of define the age of the game with also the season pack.
Yep.
We're in season 11, potentially going into season 12, but we're in the 4th edition of the game, and apparently going from N2 to N3, what I've heard, historically was a pretty big update to the game, or it kind of flipped it on its head. While 3 to 4 has been a lot more of a streamlining type process, it seems. Is that accurate to say? Or a little bit off base?
Yeah. No, yeah, I was there for N2 to N3, and it was a large change, especially when people kept coming up to me saying, "Hey, did you see how shotguns changed?" Which was a big change. But yeah, N3 to N4 is definitely, it feels more like N3.5 rather than a full new edition.
Yeah.
Is it maybe because in that time period of the transition, there was a ton of, I know there was a big burst of sectorials that came pretty rapid fire. For a game that's 18 some years old, wasn't it apparently in a 3 or 4 year period, a pretty rapid fire release of sectorials to what we see today?
And late N3 was the rapid fire sectorials, but
Okay.
N2 did not have much.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, N2 didn't have much.
So that's
as
a
I
big
recall,
change of N3 then, is that there's a lot more to work with, I suppose. And I'm kind of asking while I tell it, because I'm trying to get the general gist while I have resources like you guys around,
What's at the beginning of N3 was, kind of I didn't play N2, armies didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah, a lot of armies had to wait for HSN3, Steel Phalanx and Toha and a few others. So a lot of gimmicks, but not being able to use any of the new stuff.
Yeah, and I think because I think there will be a lot of people as we transition to talking more about Infinity on the channel that'll be coming from other game systems, and I find it really interesting just the way that they behave with the way that they'll have data sheets out before even models are released. And they're okay with even in the Corvus Belli says, hey, use Corvus Belli models, but go ahead and proxy your heart away. There's oftentimes profiles that you can't, what you see is what you get. And it's just a different kind of thing. And right now we have sectorials that we've been familiar playing that are now are on the chopping block that will be coming back apparently in November. I'm pretty excited for the resurgence of Toha and some of these other, Caledonians aren't even playable right now, or they don't have any, I guess you can't play them right now, right?
Yeah, I'm not expecting a whole lot from the November release, mostly because these are out of print armies. I'm thinking they're going to wait to give the army its spotlight to give the actual full rework. I think the rework is mostly just getting them in line with the current rules.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Going to see extreme changes like what Hassas and Bahram saw.
right.
Or maybe just delete Toha. No.
Whoa.
I mean, I'll be fine with that too.
You have some people online fight you about that.
Yeah, all three of them.
Yeah, all three of them.
I like their, as a person that has never experienced being on the other side of the table from them very much. I've gone against Spiral Corps a couple times, but they have no boogeyman factor in my mind, or being a negative portion of the game. Whereas sometimes they have a connotation, almost like Tau in 40K, where they're the bad guys for being cheesy.
The only problem I have with Toha is they punish either incompetence or being new and not understanding. That's their biggest issue, is that they can really roll players who have not faced them before.
Oh.
I wouldn't say they're any more powerful than any other
Yeah.
faction. They're just not common, and their gimmicks are very much their own. So if you haven't come across them, you don't know how to counter them.
The ability to have multiple 3-man groups run up the board is extremely efficient,
Yeah.
and that's where you can get people punished, because you can bring a guy who's got a flamethrower and is crazy good CC up with you, and you shoot, you murder a bunch of guys, and all of a sudden there's a guy in your deployment zone that's got crazy CC with a flamethrower.
Right. Now Spiral Core, that still exists though, right? Do you have this? Do we have the same opinions?
Yeah. It's like a halfway point between a human sectorial and Toha. It's got the triads, but it's still got humans in it. So,
It's a Toha sectorial with a human mask on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So okay.
And there's no eclipse smoke
No.
sword guys in
Man.
Spiral.
It's just regular smoke.
I was
Yeah.
blown away by, speaking of Eclipse, to the shooting at a -6 modifier, but now with Eclipse grenades, they can totally block out the sight of multi-visors, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're like
Eclipse is
both,
no
they're like
good.
smoke. They're smoke and multi-visors combined. That's powerful.
Nothing sees through it.
Yeah, I like that. I thought in my mind's eye, even though I don't necessarily know if that was true, but I thought that it literally only blocked out, what is that, albedo or something? It only blocks out multi-visors.
Well, albedo only blocks out multi-visors, but Eclipse blocks out.
Yeah, so that's surprised by. Yeah.
Yeah, and albedo was, I think it at least in N3 it was first turn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't checked if it's continued because I don't have anything that has albedo.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still working.
It's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing. Okay.
Your first turn.
Yeah, there's some interesting. There's several things now with the pre-game. Let's get into some of the things that we love and don't love about the N4 changes. I right off the gates, I do love the double hold off. Let's talk about the command tokens first. Like I doubled hold off, putting things in suppression. One thing that's a trip right now is we don't have season 12. We don't have an ITS packet that's current with the N4 changeover. So right now you can take, which is strange.
Yeah. The ITS 11 pack is still technically the pack we're supposed to be playing from if we're doing ITS games, but the ITS 11 pack is written with N3 in mind, so it's a little weird in a couple places.
Yeah.
But yeah, the increased use of command tokens is great. I'm still not a huge fan on board with just a single suppression model with a single command token as a start. I think that's really army kind of dependent on the army. It's useful.
Yeah.
If I got a Magariba guard, yeah, sure, I might put it in suppression. But if I'm just a bunch of schmo infantry, not a huge change. But I really do like the ability to spend the command token and hold off an extra model.
Oh yeah.
That's really cool, and it does stack with Strategos.
Yeah,
Right.
the suppression rule now, like if I don't think it's got a limitation on it. It has to be in your deployment zone. It's pretty good with troops like the Q10 imposter, which can deploy, up to the middle or further, depending on what you roll.
Yeah.
You could be next to someone's deployment zone with suppression on, which could be a pretty big pain, especially considering they're kind of two wound troops. So
Yeah, I mean, you get a -6 mimetism cover, and you're putting a -12 on them on top of whatever defensive arrows you're going to start the game out with, and they don't necessarily even know that's going to hit them until you could hold off them and hit them with the hold off in that clutch infiltrating position and be like, all right, and not only do you have these arrow pieces, but here's this -12 to be shot suppressing fire guy. I think it's pretty powerful. And also to note is there's a lot more ways now for you to get extra command tokens, which I don't remember being an N3 thing. There's lots of lieutenant options that actually give you additional command tokens now. Even a Gulam that gives you an extra command token, right?
3 points more, you can get it. I'm sorry, 4 points because they're 11 points now.
Yeah.
4 points more, you get an extra command token.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, there's more.
Yeah,
ways.
and especially going back to that TL10 imposter example, especially now that most of the armies that sort of relied on asymmetrical warfare to take care of that type of problem, they don't really have that advantage anymore.
No.
You've got 15 models and that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like the asymmetric warfare strategies are sort of going to be going to the wayside for the foreseeable future.
I think it's more tapered off. Like you can't have as much, you can't spam it as heavily. Maybe you can't have as many units dedicated to the purpose. I guess. When I think asymmetrical, I'm thinking of like the Speculo Killer, you know, the things that are the tools that go take care of different things. You know, you won't have as many tools, and you have to you may not have as much redundancy. Like I can't may not double hacker, double specialist here, double this, double that.
Yeah, there's going to be less piece trading, much less piece trading.
But yet things seem to have gotten more deadly, I might say.
Yeah.
CC looks a lot deadlier. If you're specialized in CC now, you are going to kill something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, some things are walking around with just extra. I mean, there used to, was it martial arts level 5 that gave you an extra burst?
A 4.
4, yeah.
Which now that's
It's
one of the
now
changes.
5.
Now it's just basically once you get martial level 2 and up, it's just you're going up in damage, right?
Well, yeah. Actually, there's a lot less burst being given out in CC. If you notice, Achilles lost his burst, Sheskin lost his burst, Oniwabon's lost their burst. A couple other characters lost their Saito, Hector. A lot of these CC monsters now have one singular attack opposed to 2.
But they're getting
that singular attack is hitting for 15 to 8 damage.
They seem to be giving more damage, and they're also kind of candying out double action, close combat a little bit more. I think explosive CC we're seeing.
Well, yeah. The Saito, when I ran it, it's okay. I'm gonna hit you and I'll probably crit, and now you have 4 saves at damage 16. Like.
Yeah. You know, speaking of the crit mechanic, one thing I was, people talked about. A lot of people say I like it better. Right, your things like tags and things with high armor, the things that we spend a lot of points into to bring to the table, they're even more survivable because you can use your save and you're not just going to take a wound. But on the same token, it's kind of interesting because models that you used to use like no wound in cap as a way to maybe you're going to stick your head out to take a chance. Oh no, they got a hit on you, you took a wound, and you're going to go back and nurse your wound and try something else. But now when they crit you, there's a chance you're going to not just take that 1 wound and then go behind cover again. You're going to take 2 saves now. So sometimes it ends up the crit is more deadly than it was. Because you have a chance to save it, but there's a chance you're going to die.
It can go both ways.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with shock.
I feel like I feel like the new crit mechanic has a much better play experience. I'm a fan of the new crit mechanic. I've never been a fan of the hey, just take a wound, suck it.
Right.
I always felt like it took player agency away, which is what hold people out of the game. You want to keep as much player agency as possible. You want to at least make them feel like a crit's deadly, but it's not going to be congrats, welcome to the game, slap in the face.
But yeah, with the change to shock, and then the fact that now, a lot of things that shouldn't die from shock ammunition have shock immunity now.
Goodbye, viral.
But if you have 2 wounds and no wound in cap, but if you don't have shock immunity, you can still get pulled off the board. I just think those extra, the extra saves on the crits, and then the shock immunity, not necessarily being if you have multiple wounds, sometimes that makes things feel more deadly than you expected, or your instincts transferred over from. But yeah, all around it does feel better, I would say. Would you agree, Brad?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's nice to have a chance to save those saves, especially when you're bringing big models. And it's fun to bring. I'm a guy that's always liked to bring the big toys, even if they're not the most effective. Those are usually the badass things. That's what makes me want to play, whether it's a Dog Warrior or a Scarface or a Margarita, whatever.
Yeah, tags. Tags have gotten cheaper across the board.
For better or for worse.
They really have.
Yeah, I think they're just part of the game now a lot more than they used to be. With N3 2 years ago, went to a tournament and maybe there was a tag, but most of the time there weren't any tags. And there was 18 or 19 orders on the table. Now tags first have gotten cheaper, and in some situations they have more CC and more fizz with some of the models. So they definitely want tags to be part of the game.
Yeah,
I like thematically. Tags are kind of what drew me in.
Yeah, I love it too. It also seems like there's more hacker, while hacking got simplified, this puts more of because with the 15 order max.
Yeah. I'm wondering if the prevalence now of additional hacker profiles goes in line with Corvus Belli's cheapening of tags. They're trying to promote a more diverse gameplay by including more hackers, because they're a straight direct counter to heavy infantry lists and tag lists.
And
Especially with
Oblivion,
so many tags having so few defenses against hacking now.
yeah, and Oblivion is burst 2 damage 16. That is doesn't matter who you are. Even tags are gonna have chances to fail against that.
Now, is that
Especially heavy infantry, they're gonna get
non-lethal still? Does that isolate or
It
immobilize?
isolates you.
Yeah.
It's AP special ammo isolated comms attack against tags, remotes, and hackers. So
Sure.
isolation is going to be a big deal.
Oh man, I missed the AP part.
Right.
Yeah, I would say I'm just looking at that now. I mean, again,
Well, it wasn't originally AP. The AP was added when they figured out they forgot to add AP to it. It was one of the bonus. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, against tags, they don't care. I mean, you're going to make saves and you're going to start failing them.
Yeah, I'm thinking tags are going to be a major strategy you need to come against when building lists now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if it works against a tag, it'll work against heavy infantry as well, and there's going to be a lot more heavy infantry.
Yeah. And sometimes they're sprinkling now the way they've done the program. Sometimes you may not be a killer hacker, but you'll still get like a upgrade to your hacking device where you have Trinity. Or, you know, I noticed that my Anthematic, I love that he has a Trinity +1 burst.
Whoa!
But it's pretty
So
nasty.
it's a quadrinity.
Yeah.
Quadrinity.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting because I'm new to hacking, you know, especially being an Ariadna player, and I've found myself in a lot more info wars or whatever. And sometimes bringing a hacker is actually a liability, you know, where I've taken on Norkius, the character Umbra, and I've been trying to run him and have fun and go heat people, and I've taken him as the hacker, and that makes him now susceptible to getting killer hacked in ARO. And I'm like, shit, you know, you don't expect it. Those camo tokens now can jump out and eat you. So yeah, it's funny. I'm having to realize that sometimes bringing a hacker isn't always just because the specialist profile. Maybe I should take the forward observer.
Yeah, I don't think hacking gameplay has changed. I feel like it's exactly the same as it was. There's just far less programs and it's a lot more streamlined. There's a lot less kind of head scratching. Oh, I could use this, or I could use this. Oh, just Oblivion because that's the best.
Yeah, it's isolate and then you know.
I mean, the programs they have now are really just the ones that anyone ever used. Out of the 30 programs they had, anyone only used 5 or 6.
Now, I guess one of the biggest change-ups, though, is that, well, one, I guess killer hacker's always been on a cybermask, I recognize.
Yeah, Cybermask and Trinity.
But Evo hacking has been something that was more, or not Evo hacking, but assisted fire was something that was more regulated.
Evo hackers and Evo hacking has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And I don't mind, you know, I've heard some people boo-hoo that a little bit, but I appreciate that more different units that are having sitting on the shelf are kind of hitting the field a little bit more. I'm okay with the Evo hacking profile being needed.
I'm kind of sad because I really utilize the Evo hacker when I use it. Usually when you had an Evo hacker, you built a list around it to utilize a lot of those advantages that just came with this, just as the
combat
bonus
jump,
to
usually, right?
combat jump. Yeah. +6 to discover for sensor. What else was there? The combined order to hack is now just a generic thing, but Evo hacking I enjoyed. It was very different buffs. Now if you want any of those bonuses, it is a hacking program, so you can only have one of those bonuses up at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be order intensive if you want to focus around an Evo.
But don't they last now for the whole until you put a new program in there? Like assisted fire, I think lasts for the whole game, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know.
That's a big deal.
I thought I read that.
That's worth checking.
I think they're more efficient now.
Okay. I certainly don't mind.
Well, that does make it better.
Does make it better.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah, it seems like they did get rid of a lot of those. Oh, this lasts for 2 player turns. What's that mean?
Now, one thing I keep double guessing myself as a newer player with this, but like with the Evo hacker used to be that you could spend a command token to give them the -3 to their combat jump when they did it in the deployment phase, I thought. Like if somebody was trying to infiltrate, or not infiltrate, but combat jump on you in the deployment step, then you could spend a command token to give them a -3, I thought. Was that not in 3?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, because I kept second guessing that. Maybe I was just totally making it up then. So that's because right now we can ARO somebody's combat jump in a turn and say you're -3 to your jump, or we're +2.
Yeah, you'll have to predict if they're trying to jump that turn.
But you can't do it in the deployment step.
Right.
Because they could combat jump on you in the deploy. If they're going first and they wanted to Rambo combat jump you, they could do it in the deployment stuff, not wait for the impetuous phase or whatever. Yeah, and that's, hey, impetuous. That instantly sparked my mind. Impetuous is better now. I sure do like impetuous not being forced. It is so much better.
Yeah.
It's all regular impetuous now.
I mean, like, dude, I'm gonna take motorcycles now
because they're
like,
fun.
they don't suffer from that. Well, they're gonna have to move that 8 inches.
They don't suffer the 8 inches. They don't suffer the table.
Yo, I started bringing
started
bringing Tigers for the first time, and they're awesome now.
I took Tigers before.
I
Tigers,
know.
I love them.
I never got to play combined very much in N3.
Little murder bunnies.
They're great, but the fact that they don't have to move into an ARO presence is fantastic.
Yes.
I sure have loved that, and then that just makes a whole lot of different profiles get a second look. You know.
Yeah, speaking of Tigers and Shaz, who's looking forward to all of their infiltrators having regeneration? Just like, you better kill them dead.
Yeah, just
all of them, including the Speculos. Everyone's got regeneration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the end of the
Enjoy
turn now.
that.
We call it, yeah.
I was telling, how that's not just on your turn. That's literally as soon as orders are expended on the other player's turn or your turn, you can decide to use that and heal your guy back up. Hopefully, anyways.
I'm looking forward to the Fizz 14 Asawira doing that.
Yeah, he is a bad boy. I was checking out him the other day too after you were mentioning him because he has Berserk plus 3
got a lot of
and
buffs.
the martial arts. Yeah, you can get up to like CC 29.
Yeah, easy CC 29 at a 8-inch charge. 6-2 move now, armor 4 now. Still BTS 9.
Did they seem to sprinkle out Berserk more than where it used to exist? Where people maybe some of those profiles.
I think whoever Berserk plus 3.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing it on the units that used to have assault.
Okay.
You guys, did Berserk used to not need line of sight? Because now when you do it, you require line of sight to do it, and that's been the tricky part for me.
Berserk used to be in combat only. It used to. Berserk was the
assault,
thing.
I mean, yeah, assault.
Oh yeah, assault required line of sight always.
Oh, it always did too. Okay. So
and it still does.
Yeah.
Berserk still requires line of sight.
Yeah, I found that to be the tricky part about it.
Yeah, they combined assault and Berserk together. And now it has a bonus instead of a negative, which is great.
Yeah, totally. Let's see. I'm digging around for more good. Yeah, I know you. 6th Sense. I mean, a lot of the changes. I feel like is like we found some devil in the detail in the core rules, but playing in 4 is a lot like playing in 3. It's really the profiles and the special abilities themselves, the universal special rules that have taken the biggest. Like, whoa, that's different. And Impetuous we talked about, but 6th Sense. It's crazy. You've been Alpha Sid.
I love my Alpha Sid now.
So
I mean, more than normal.
Yeah. So with 6th Sense, you can't delay anymore.
But
that's really the only thing that lost, though.
Right, and that's it. But I always found that to be pretty useful in a Link team to be like, you tell me what you're gonna do because I'm gonna roll 6th Sense. I mean, use 6th Sense delay. But I mean,
useful, yes, but it definitely did create some head scratch for new players.
Yeah.
Came around the corner and says, "Hey, what's your ARO?" And I'm like, "No, what's your ARO?"
Yeah. It is. I never internalized that. Every time that ever happened to me. But yeah, 6th Sense level 1 and level 2. Now you can get shot outside of your line of fire, no matter whether you had a level 1. If you just have 6th Sense, get shot out of line of fire, you can respawn back.
Yeah. Yep. The Alpha Sid just gained from that because he only had 6th Sense level 1 before. Now
yeah. It's like, I'm going to throw smoke, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to rocket launcher you. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
so even without MSV, you're still ignoring
cute.
the -6 to being shot by through a no visibility zone.
Yeah.
Right?
And the new +1 burst HRL, who's got burst 3 active turn HRL. Oh, I love that Alpha Sid.
That's what I've been playing for the Alpha Sid.
It's done work. Yeah. What I think's strange about that, being paired with 6th Sense and talk about link teams and being able to delay, is also now it seems that the AROs are activated like whenever you just hit the if you're out of line of fire and you move into someone's zone of control, then they have the ability to dodge. Before they could only dodge change face, and that's been removed pretty much, right?
Yeah. You just dodge now. There's no dodge change face. When you dodge, you move, you change your face, whatever you want to do.
I like that better personally.
Yeah.
It was always weird to be like, well, the only thing you can do is dodge in place or spin.
Yeah, so I had an instance today in a where somebody combat jumped in, right? And they combat jump in, and they're going behind my link team, and on their very first move after they combat jumped, they move into the zone of control of one of my link team members whose back's turned. So normally I could delay, right? Or normally I could get shot in the back and respond. But because his first action is to move into my zone of control, I then have to make a decision of an ARO, and I can't see him, so I can't choose to shoot him. So I have to just dodge at that point, and he gets to shoot me. And I don't get to have that responsive dodge, even though I have Sixth Sense. And that's
it is a soft nerf to link team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're able to get picked up a little bit more. They're a little bit more vulnerable, I found, which has been interesting. And a buff to well, that's another thing. Let's talk about combat jump and parachutist. That's pretty much what we have now is just combat jump and parachute. Right?
Yeah.
And we used to have to choose in the deployment step as a parachutist, and I have an image here. I'll see if I can grab it. One, just as I jump to the images, here's a shot of the new studio shot, the overhead shot here. Can't wait to show some of these new bat reps that we're going to be doing. Here's a quick shot of the new camera arm, and this was something you guys helped me figure out to get. That camera arm has been so clutch in making much cooler looking footage. I look forward to showing that. Show you guys some examples when it's all said and done. But here is the old parachutist zone here. So I'm showing them the 8 sections or whatever. And it used to be when you deployed as a parachutist in the deployment step, you'd have to choose one of these zones here pre-game, and then you're kind of tethered to that zone. And if that happened to be after your opponent played some turns or whatever, that not being the most optimal place to land, well, tough, that's what you chose. But now, things that had that type of ability don't have to be tethered to any of these choices, and they can just come in on whatever edge they want. Based on whatever they feel like when it's that time. So that's a huge boost there. And then, combat jump apparently doesn't have dispersion anymore. You just drop. If you fail, you go back to your deployment zone.
Yep, that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's strong too, though.
In N2, you dispersed the same circular template, but then you disperse D20 times 2.5 inches in whatever direction it was supposed to be.
I mean, that's kind of
fun.
silly, but
Man, yeah.
It definitely does good job.
The same thing happened with grenades. If grenades
man.
went 2.5 inches somewhere.
That's silly. Because in N4 it goes 60s.
And 3, it went 16 inches. Now just go in your deployment zone.
I mean, I kind of miss that, and I don't miss it. It's like,
I don't at all.
Well, so you would know this probably off the top of your head for sure, Zach, but the Imatron, right? The 4-point cheap-ass combat jump order, didn't that used to have to take a back? I don't know if it always had to suffer the -3, but I know that it pretty much didn't have a choice to not do it, but I think was the gist.
Well, it never had a -3,
it didn't
but
have
it
a
could,
minus. Yeah.
But it had the
it
combat
could just
jump,
fly
right?
off somewhere. Yeah, Imatron and Netrod. Yeah, so Concilium now has a wormhole directly to the Hegemony's space, which is why there's a really big battle on Concilium surface itself. I don't quite understand the situation on Paradiso. I believe Paradiso has gone downwards some more. The Gezira space elevator is now fully lost to the Combined Army, as opposed to a guerrilla warfare between the Hak Islam and Combined Army. And neither side wants to use artillery because it's a massive space elevator that would do massive damage if it fell down.
So I'm right there. I didn't know enough about the story to even need a little more context about this elevator.
Yeah, so
that they were
third offensive, the book was really punching the fuck out of Hak Islam.
Okay.
Because Hak Islam controls a lot of the trade, and in so doing, they're the ones who control the 2 space elevators off of Paradiso. They successfully held on to one, but almost lost the other. Kapu Kalki was lost during third offensive because of that, because they spent their resources trying to defend those space elevators.
This is how they get out into the dimension, outer space. This is how they go and transfer silk around or whatever they need to do, right?
Well, the space elevators are used by all the nations.
Yeah.
It's simply how they get resources to and from the planet. They don't use dropships; they use space elevators.
Okay.
They can use dropships. It's just space elevators can carry a lot more, a lot quicker.
Okay.
Go down to the surface from an orbital, transporting supplies to and from. So whoever has control of the space elevators has a way down from the space dock to ferry heavier resources, aka larger armies and forces.
Wow. Okay, gotcha. And so was this betrayal that a lot of this was, or did you read this right?
No,
after
this
the core
was
book?
this was third offensive that the happened on Paradiso, called the Third Offensive, where Combine Army pushed the forces out. Pano ran like a bunch of Pano guys. Yujing stood and fought, but Yujing was not heavily hit because they didn't really control any strategic locations.
Yeah.
Hakazlam, the Druze, Japan, the Japanese secessionist forces and nomads fought together to try to help defend the Gezira space elevator. The Druze betrayed everybody and left, which put a huge dent in their numbers because Druze. And then in N4, N4 grew off of the Asteroid Blues campaign, infiltrated Concilium, the Concilium system, and off on the dark side of a moon somewhere, constructed a voodoo tech device that opened a wormhole between Concilium space and the Combine Army's territory.
Whoa.
Yep, and Combine Army ships started coming out of that.
That's a head trip, dude. So that's awesome. Like there's the lore, I think escapes like it's when I introduce it to some of my newer friends or some of my friends from like Warhammer and whatnot. They are right, and with that you mentioned in the N4 like the expansion part of the story, was that in the core rule book itself, or like I know there's
no, the N4 comes in two books. There's the rule book and there is it's called the core book. And the rule book. I don't know why they call it the core book, but the core book has sections in it, basically with headers of 5 years later.
Okay.
So it has all of the first edition fluff that gets you introduced to everything and all that. And then it has specific headers for people who have been in the game for a while, know the fluff, and be like, okay, where's the part where it's 5 years later? Okay, here, I'll start reading here. And I'll start giving a synopsis on what has the faction done in those years.
Very cool.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
cool. And so Betrayal, that's one of the things they've been advertising. That comes with a new Kodali sculpt, I believe, right? And that is just a story unique to Kodali and her own situation.
It's Kodali and Adil. Adil, I don't remember his last name, but he's the
or something like that.
Yeah, Munmut. Adil Munmut. He's a pheasant rank agent for Yu Jing, who's interrogating and hunting down Kodali.
Oh, cool.
I don't know much about it. I've not been able to get my hands on it, but I really want it.
It looks nice.
Because
Yeah.
Outrage was amazing.
Hell yeah. Is that another graphic novel that they did?
Yeah, that was the first graphic novel they put out.
Wow. Yeah. Every time I hear you, give a summary of things, I always get super like, oh, I want to read it all. It sounds so cool, and I just haven't done it. I'm so there's so much to just understand about the game. I read rules before I read lore most often.
Yeah, the core book gives great overview of the lore. The RPG books go really in depth into the lore.
Very cool. Well, this has been great, guys. I'm really enjoying the Infinity Talk show here. This is awesome. I can't wait to get more bat reps up too. We're gonna definitely have to keep this train going on a bi-weekly basis. We got a few, about 10 minutes left. Is there anything particular about N4 stick-wise that we haven't talked to you guys had on your mind at all? You can think of digging in the head. I know we got some recent paint projects I could show.
Okay.
Let's see, I got the old parachutes. I'm going to show some of the stuff that we got saved up. Here's some, I think this is some Hakkasan that you painted up.
Besides my Shona Carano conversion, not really. To go with my Joan of Arc conversion for an Ossuera. My plan is just to convert all of the Pano ladies into Hakkasan.
Nice.
Because Islam is better. It just is.
Yeah.
I just showed
Better
some of
than Pano.
your works
That's for
there.
sure.
Yeah, I do agree they're better than Pano.
We have a lot better works.
Yeah, this is Brad's Deshot. He recently got some models painted that weren't done yet. It's been a murder force. I haven't beat Brad's Deshot in N4, and I've tried really hard. Hopefully,
The shot's dirty.
I'm gonna have a bat rep here soon where I do just that. You're gonna go down, Brad. Here's some of Chris's.
I hope I do.
Yeah, Brad's like, I'm getting kind of tired of kicking everyone's ass right here.
What's made the shot that much better?
I don't know. Like,
Brad's just playing really good.
Yeah.
Probably the Hakazan
Okay.
bonuses that they got.
Alpha Sid is
Yeah,
no
that's
joke.
fair.
I mean, Alpha Sid has been a problem. There is no doubt. But also, he's just been playing well. But I feel like I've gotten a lot of cobwebs from the quarantine and stuff, and really feeling good about where we are. And
Yeah.
I'm excited to actually play on camera and I don't think mess up my rules. Particularly with Combined. I've been playing a lot of Combined and a lot of Onyx, and that has been new for me, you know, as playing a ton of Ariadna. And I finally starting to get the hang of the Unidrons were a big eye-opener, realizing, you know, one, that's, oh, there we go, N4, remotes going prone. That is a game changer.
Yes, that is another thing.
Big
Yep,
time.
that is a big change. Yeah.
And not to mention flash pulses. I got turned on to the fact that stun now causes 2 BTS saves. So flash pulse bots not only are easier to bring back to life as they go prone when they fall down, but they also are better at doing their job if they're just a cheap ARO piece with giving flash pulses.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how some of the ITSs come out. I know New Zealand just had an ITS for the first one in
Yep.
in